Unbelievable blind date exposed, how a paralyzed CEO discovered heartwarming joy with a mechanic. Jake stared at the text from his sister, "You have to go. It'll be fun." He sighed, rolling his eyes as he looked out from his sprawling, luxury apartment. It felt like a golden cage, with everything in perfect order yet missing the warmth of real life. At 38, he was a wealthy CEO, but there were days when the walls felt way too close. Ever since the accident that confined him to a wheelchair, the suffocating luxury felt like a reminder of everything that had changed. He reluctantly agreed to the blind date, hoping it might break the monotony, but deep down, he expected just another awkward meal. Little did he know that Emily would change everything. She breezed into the small cafe, hands marked with grease and a smile like a sunrise. She seemed to shimmer with a joy he hadn't experienced in years. They were like characters from opposite sides of a movie, but sitting there, tension faded. The chatter of the county fair enveloped them, the laughter of children, the thump of music, the aroma of fried food ignited a spark of nostalgia in Jake. They wandered together through the fair, and Emily shared stories of fixing cars, her laughter rich with authenticity that tugged at his heart. Jake could feel the heaviness in his chest lighten. She spoke of triumph over challenges, her resilience shining like stars against the dark backdrop of his corporate capital. They connected through their laughter, sharing the pain of expectations and suffocating norms, and suddenly, just for a moment, the barriers felt thin. But then, the tension arrived uninvited. Jake's family, stiff and judgmental, cornered them at the ring toss game. Their disdain hung in the air like stale popcorn, every biting remark echoing sharply against the joy they had built. Jake's face flushed with embarrassment as they eyed Emily, whispering like snakes in the grass. He could almost feel the walls closing in again, their critiques a heavy weight that threatened to suffocate him. Before he could deflect the awkwardness, a small-town competition began, forcing them into the spotlight. The setup felt chaotic, but with a bounce of spontaneity, they found themselves working together, laughter bubbling like the fizzy soda at their feet. All their struggles faded momentarily as they tossed rings and teased each other, the townsfolk surrounding them chuckling at the odd pair. Just when it seemed that laughter would conquer dread, Jake's brother dropped a bombshell. "What would Uncle Bruce say if he knew you were dating a mechanic? You've got better options." The words cut through the air, sharp as a knife. Jake turned pale, the warmth from the previous moments replaced by icy dread. Emily looked down, hurt flashing in her eyes for just an instant like a flame snuffed out too soon. Could he really stand by and let those prejudices dictate his life? As the uplifting music of a nearby band swelled, Jake's heart raced. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Caught between family loyalty and the spark of connection he felt with Emily, Jake stood at a crossroad. Every beat of his heart urged him forward, yet he felt the chains of upbringing around him. With the drumbeat rising, a surge of determination washed over him. He had to decide, would he fight for Emily, risking everything, or let the weight of expectations shackle him once again? The moment hung, fragile as a dewdrop, waiting to see what choice he would make. Jake's heart raced as he met Emily's gaze, her blue eyes shimmering with confusion and hurt. The laughter of the crowd felt distant, now muffled beneath the weight of his family's judgment. He'd never been great at standing up for himself, but something about Emily ignited a fire within him. Enough. It slipped out before he could think, the word bursting forth with unexpected strength. The bustling fair seemed to halt for a moment, all eyes turning toward him. He felt the heat of their scrutiny but couldn't back down now. "I'm tired of living for everyone else. I want to build my life, and I want Emily in it." Emily blinked, her surprise morphing into hope, and Jake's breath caught at the sight of her smile returning, shy yet brilliant. The crowd buzzed with whispers, heads nodding in approval. His parents might snicker, but others were rooting for him. In that instant, he realized he didn't need their validation. "Come on, let us show them how it's done," Jake urged, the hint of mischief sparking in his eyes. He pivoted in his chair, rolling toward the ring toss, ready to embrace whatever came their way. "Just a little friendly competition, right?" Emily laughed, the enchanting sound lifting the last remnants of doubt from between them. Together, they rehearsed their game plan, leaning into each other's energy. Ring after ring, they tossed with fervor, and while they didn't win any prizes, their connection deepened. Their laughter rang out, a defiant note against the whispers of disapproval. With every toss, Jake felt lighter. It was as if their joy was a bubble wrapped around them, shielding them from the judgmental glances and the lingering words of his brother. Each giggle and playful elbow nudge built a bridge between their worlds, one filled with grease-stained tools and passion, the other burdened with polish and pretension. After a fierce rally in the games, spending even more time together, the evening wore on, shadows stretching as the sun dipped low. But Jake felt at home. As they grabbed cotton candy, he noticed her small, grease-stained hands holding the sugary pink treat. How ordinary yet beautiful it was, this connection forged against all odds. "Tomorrow, their SA car show by the lake," Emily said, her eyes sparkling. "You should come." "Definitely," Jake replied, feeling excitement bubbling inside him. It would be an opportunity to step into her world, a realm of creativity and resilience that felt foreign yet inviting. In the car on the way back, Jake's heart buzzed not only from adrenaline but from the thrill of possibility. What if he really pursued this? What if he fought against everything he'd been taught? Just as they arrived at his apartment, Emily turned to him, her expression turning serious. "Can we talk about what happened with your family? It's not fair to you." Jake felt a swell of warmth, thrilled by her concern. "Yes. We need to," he said with a newfound certainty. Yet looming doubts flickered in his mind. Would his family ever accept her? Would he have the strength to defend the woman who had momentarily turned his world upside down? As they sat in the stillness after that question hung between them, Jake took a deep breath. He was ready to dive into the unknown with Emily, but just as hope glimmered brightly, his phone buzzed with an incoming text. The name flashing on the screen sent a chill down his spine. It was his mother, and the message read, "We need to talk. This isn't over." He tucked the phone away, eyes meeting Emily's, wondering if he truly had the heart to face the battle ahead. Jake sat there, feeling the weight of Emily's gaze on him, a mixture of concern and anticipation. He could sense the unspoken question lingering in the air. What if this was the moment things shifted? What if he could finally bridge the gap that his family had created? As he folded his hands tightly in his lap, he noticed the pink cotton candy still clinging to her fingers. It seemed to contrast with the intense colors of the fair, a little reminder that sweetness existed even in the face of danger. "I'm sorry about what they said," Emily finally broke the silence. I don't want you to feel stuck between us." The genuine warmth in her voice soothed him. How had he gotten so lucky? "You're not the one who needs to apologize. This is new territory for me, too." He took a moment, letting his heart settle down enough to think. "I guess I have to ask myself what I truly want. I've always been the good son," but he paused, searching for the right words. "It just feels different with you. You make me want to fight for something real." The sincerity in his response made her smile grow broader, and for a moment, Jake felt as if they were the only two people in the universe. Before he could further explore those feelings, his phone buzzed again. The sound seemed to cut through the intimate bubble enveloping them, pulling him back into reality. He bit his lip, the apprehension bubbling up inside him. He needed to respond, to figure out how to address the storm awaiting him. "Do you want to check it?" she urged gently. He shook his head. "Not yet. I just want to enjoy this moment with you." With a chuckle, Emily brushed some imaginary lint from his shirt. You know those texts don't stand a chance against us, right? Nothing can ruin this night. Jake felt his heart race. She was right. A wave of determination washed over him, and all those worries began to drift away, like balloons he could release into the sky. Okay, what do you want to do next? He asked, needing to shake off the weight of the world pressing against him. Let us go look at the cars. I know a little thing or two, she teased, mischief dancing in her eyes. Lead the way, Jake said, feeling like a kid who had just been handed the keys to a candy shop. As they made their way through the fairgrounds, the colorful sights around them were only a fabric woven to the backdrop of their laughter. The sounds of engines revving and music playing echoed, their echoes mingling with sparkles in her eyes. When they finally reached the car show area, Jake's heart soared. He watched her move from one vehicle to the next, her fingers brushing against the hoods and her face lighting up with excitement. The way she absorbed every detail was mesmerizing. It felt like he was seeing her for the first time, not just a mechanic he was drawn to, but someone with a depth he could continually discover. This one's my favorite, she said, standing by a vintage Mustang with gleaming chrome. Classic lines, power, and style. Just look at it. Reminds me of you, Jake admitted, unable to hold back a playful grin. What do you mean? Emily asked, feigning innocence, but her cheeks flushed. Strong, beautiful, with a little grit and plenty of heart, he said, the words flowing without hesitation. The sparkle in her eyes changed, brightening as she laughed softly. Flattery will get you everywhere, my friend. As they stood side by side, soaking in the energy around them, Jake's phone buzzed once more. He glanced down, the message turning his stomach. It read, "We're meeting at your place in an hour." His heart sank. The joyous moment with Emily felt threatened again. But he looked back at her, and the panic faded slightly. Those words were just reminders of the friction that was still there, a test he was determined to face. That he took a deep breath and smiled, I guess we better make the most of our last hour together tonight. But what he didn't realize was that this was only the beginning. He had just taken a step into an unknown world, and the shadows of his fears loomed large. Would he find the courage to move forward with Emily, no matter the cost? Or would he let his family's expectations continue to chain him down? The clock was ticking, and they were running out of time. Jake took a deep breath, steadying himself as he tried to suppress the tightness in his chest. He turned back to Emily, who was still admiring the Mustang, completely unaware of the turmoil brewing inside him. So what's next? He asked, forcing a more upbeat tone. Let us sit in it. She exclaimed, her excitement contagious. You know, it's totally a classic move. People have been doing it for decades. He followed her lead, eager to sink back into the moment. They climbed into the smooth leather seats, the scent of the vintage interior immediately wrapping around them like a familiar embrace. Emily's laughter filled the small space, and in that instant, all his worries seemed to melt away. This is perfect, Jake said, glancing out the window at the fading sunset. The sky was painted in hues of orange and pink, reflecting the thrill of being this close to Emily. It feels like anything is possible right now. Exactly. She replied, her eyes sparkling. Just like this car, it's got the spirit of freedom. It's about the journey, not just the destination. That's deep. He laughed, appreciating her perspective, but a part of him felt the weight of reality inching back in. What's on your mind? Emily asked, catching the shift in his expression. Just thinking about how all this connects back to my family, he admitted, the rawness of the thought surprising him. They want me to be this perfect son, to follow the family path. But I want to pursue something different. I want to choose my adventure. Emily nodded, her expression softening. You deserve that choice, Jake. It shouldn't be made for you. Sometimes, a little rebellion is necessary to find out who you really are. As his heart raced, he realized she was right. He could feel the pull of her belief rooting him in this moment. But the longer he sat there, the more the impending message loomed in his mind, the one that screamed of expectations and obligations. "Let us make a pact," Emily suddenly said, her voice breaking through his thoughts. "For the next hour, let us leave it all behind. Let us be wild and free." "I love that. How do we do it?" he asked eagerly, her enthusiasm igniting a flicker of hope in him. "Racing," she declared with a grin. "We can pretend we're cruising the open road, no limits, just the wind in our hair and the world at our feet." Jake laughed, the tension in him easing as they both revved the imaginary engines. "You're on. Let South hit the road." They sped through the air, laughing and pretending to steer the Mustang around corners, both caught up in the thrill of their shared adventure. Each giggle felt like a promise against the weight that awaited him. But as the minutes went by, Jake glanced back at his phone, the screen dimming but still a reminder of reality. "Emily," she interrupted him with a playful punch to his arm. "No talking about anything serious. Just let go." He bit back a smile, but her words tugged at his heart. They were on borrowed time. What if the magic they shared couldn't survive the expectations that always waited at his front door? Okay. No serious talk, he relented, diving back into their fun. However, as they wrapped up their imaginary race, his phone buzzed once more. This time, it felt like a storm warning, an urgent reminder of what awaited him. Panic surged in him as he realized their time was almost up. "Emily," he called, chewing on his lower lip. What if we make this a night to remember?" She finished, her gaze steady. Jake held her eyes, knowing she could see through him. "That sounds perfect. But hey. No buts allowed," she declared, her smile undeterred. "Let us just enjoy this ride." He nodded, and for a moment, he believed her. But shadows lurked at the edges of their bliss, and Jake felt the free-spirited night slipping away. With just minutes left, they hopped out of the car, humming with laughter and energy. Emily was swept up in an exuberance Jake envied. And as he looked at her, the fears curled in his mind. Could he break free from his family's expectations? Could he face the truth waiting at home? He didn't want this feeling to end. But the question gnawed at him as they strolled away from the glowing lights of the car show, with every minute counting down. How would he choose between freedom and duty? The fair around them continued to pulse with life, but Jake's heart thundered with uncertainty. What truth would he face in just a few minutes, and would he let it define him? Jake and Emily walked together through the fair, the vibrant lights and enticing smells swirling around them. Jake felt the thrill of the moment in the air, but deep inside, a storm brewed. Equal parts excitement and dread. "Let us grab those giant turkey legs." Emily pointed excitedly, her enthusiasm contagious. He followed her gaze, trying to focus on the small joys instead of the weighty thoughts. But he couldn't escape the gnawing anticipation of the messages waiting for him. As they stumbled upon a carousel, Emily's eyes brightened. "Can we ride that one?" she asked, practically bouncing on her toes. "Sure," he replied, easing the knot in his stomach just a bit. They climbed onto the colorful carousel horses, and as they whirled around, Emily's gleeful laughter filled the night air. He could feel the warmth of her joy washing over him, a soft glow against the cold tension tightening around his heart. Each time their horses rose and dipped, he imagined their thoughts swirling together, limited time, unfiltered fun, and reckless abandon, if only for a moment. "You know," she called over the music, "this is what life is about. Spontaneity. No rules, just ride." The carousel slowed down, and for a moment, Jake was entranced by Emily's spirit, her power to make joy bloom in the simplest of things. But then, his mind tugged him back to reality. "I wish," he started, but Emily cut in again, her eyes fierce with determination. "No wishing, Jake. We're here now. Let us just be." He nodded, swallowing the lump in his throat. How could she be this carefree? The world around them melted away, and for a second, he believed he could shake off his responsibilities. He wanted to scream out what he felt, to experience everything like her. But the shadows of his family's expectations loomed longer. As the carousel came to a stop, he hopped off and spotted his phone lighting up with notifications all from home. Each buzz sounded more like a reality check than an invitation to join the celebration. "Should we go see what else is around?" Emily suggested, glancing toward the funhouse. "Yeah, let us do it," he replied, trying to hold on to her energy. But with each step, he felt the weight of home pressing against him like a brick wall. They darted into the funhouse, mirrors distorting their reflections, creating a whirlwind of images. Jake laughed as he watched Emily's face twist in confusion one moment and burst with joy the next. "Look at us. We're both clowns," she giggled. But through the laughter, Jake's heart turned heavy. He thought of the expectations, the responsibilities waiting for him like the unrelenting sound of a clock ticking away every second meant to ground him, to remind him of who he was supposed to be. "Jake," she said, her voice suddenly serious. "What's really going on?" Caught off guard, he felt bare in front of her. I just don't know what's next. I wish I could be this free about my life. Feelings shouldn't scare you, you know. This moment here. It's real." Her words pierced through the chaos in his mind. Maybe her spirit could lend him some courage, but even as he held on to that thought, fears crept back in like shadows. "But what if it's not enough?" he whispered. Emily took a step closer. "Sometimes, the real journey is facing what you're scared of and taking that leap." The weight in his chest shifted slightly, hope flickering dimly but refusing to be snuffed out completely. Just then, he heard a loud announcement booming over the loudspeakers. A fireworks show was set to begin. "Let us go watch," Emily exclaimed, grabbing his hand. As they rushed outside the funhouse, he marveled at how the night had transformed. The sky was dark, but the colors of the fair illuminated everything around them. He could see the glimmering stars above, but would there be fireworks for him too? They settled down on the grass, the excitement bubbling in the air. The first firework shot up, exploding in a shower of colors. Jake's heart raced as he lost himself in the moment, but that inner conflict loomed larger with every bang. Jake turned to Emily, the questions swirling in his mind blending with the beauty unfolding before them. What if I let go tonight?" She smiled, the sparks reflecting in her eyes. "Then you just might discover something amazing." As the next firework burst overhead, Jake found himself grappling with the decision of a lifetime. Could he abandon the predictability of his life? Was the chance for true freedom worth the risk? With every explosion of light, clarity began to take shape, but just as doubts threatened to overshadow the thrill, he saw another message pop up on his phone. And this one was different. His heart sank as he reached for it, knowing that this could change everything. What would it reveal? Would he have the strength to face what came next? Jake hesitated for a moment, the glow of the fireworks melting into the background as he stared at his phone. The screen illuminated his face, but it didn't bring him any warmth. Instead, it felt cold and heavy, words from home looming ominously. He quickly glanced at Emily, whose eyes sparkled in delight, unaware of the storm raging inside him. "Jake? You okay?" she asked, her voice sweet and filled with concern. He forced a smile, wanting to keep the joyful moment alive. "Yeah, just wanted to check something," he replied, hiding the apprehension he felt. As he opened the message, the excitement of the fair faded, replaced by a familiar dread. "We need to talk," it said. Those words hit him like a punch to the gut. Were they about his future? His family's plans for him, all laid out like a carefully orchestrated performance he was expected to follow? Before he let himself spiral, the fireworks exploded overhead, breaking through the tension building in his chest. Each burst of color was like a reminder that life could be unpredictable and beautiful. He pulled his gaze away from the screen and turned it to Emily, who was clapping with glee as another firework lit up the sky. "Did you see that one?" she exclaimed, pointing. Jake nodded, his heart pounding not just from excitement but from the weight of choice pressing on him. What if he were to let the future they wanted for him slip away, even just for tonight? He took in a deep breath, attempting to steady himself. What if I decided to do something different, he thought, wrestling with the idea. Emily caught his gaze, her eyes alive with enthusiasm. "This is what adventure feels like," she shouted above the noise. "What would it be like for you to really choose?" His heart beat faster. Could it really be that simple? Didn't he have to decide everything equally right now? Then, from the corner of his eye, he noticed a group of people running towards a nearby stage where the fair announced a spontaneous dance-off. The crowd was filled with laughter and excitement. Inspiration sparked within him. Maybe tonight didn't have to be perfect, but it could be freedom. "Emily," he said resolutely, "let us go dance." A gleam lit up her face. "Are you serious? Why not? Let us do it." Without waiting for her to reply, he grabbed her hand and led her forward, weaving through the crowds, exhilaration bubbling within him. It didn't matter what came next. In that moment, it was about the dance, the laughter, and the sheer joy of being with Emily. As they reached the stage, the dance-off was already in full swing. People were spinning and showing off their moves. Jake could feel the pulse of the music, calling to something deep inside him. Stepping out into the spotlight, he grabbed Emily's hand tightly. With a deep breath, he let go of his fears. In that space, buzzing with vibrant energy, he spun her around, letting laughter burst from him like fireworks as they joined in the fun. They twirled, they jumped, they laughed. In the chaos, Jake felt something begin to shift within him. The weight of expectation started to ease, even if just a little. Maybe he could redefine what was possible for him. But just as they hit a rhythm, a loud voice boomed from the stage, pulling Jake's focus back. "And now, the dance-off winner will receive a chance to win a year of free adventures. That includes travel, activities, and skydiving. But only one can take it home." Jake exchanged a glance with Emily, both of them caught off guard by the enormity of it. A year of freedom sounded almost unreal, but the thought of commitment lingered just beneath the surface, ready to resurface at any moment. "How would we even go for it?" Jake asked, the thrill of the moment mixing with uncertainty. "Let us just see what happens." Emily cheered, grabbing his hand once more, bringing him back to the dance floor where anything felt possible. As they continued to dance, Jake felt hope flickering like the fireworks fading above them. Maybe, just maybe, letting go tonight could lead to something he never anticipated, but in the back of his mind, that message still lingered like a shadow. What would happen when the night ended? How much longer could he keep running? Just as he reached peak exhilaration, his phone buzzed again, a different vibration this time, a new message that could change everything once more. Jake's heart raced as he hesitated again, the weight of the night hanging in the balance. Would he dare to find out? Jake's heart sank as he looked at the message, the colors of the fireworks dimming in contrast to the stark reality of his phone screen. The bright, cheerful atmosphere felt suddenly far away. Taking a deep breath, he glanced at Emily, who was still bouncing with excitement, unaware of the internal battle happening just beneath Jake's surface. "Jake, come on," she urged, tugging him towards the edge of the crowd. "Let us show them our moves." Her enthusiasm was infectious, and for a moment, the tension in his chest lessened. Could he really embrace this moment? After all, it was just a message. Just words. He could still choose to not let it affect him tonight. He tucked his phone away and took her hand, leading her to the front of the stage. The energy buzzed around them, swirling like the fireworks in the sky. The DJ dropped the beat, a heavy thump that seemed to resonate in his chest. Emily giggled, eyes shining, as they stepped into the spotlight. Jake let the music take over. They lost themselves in the rhythm, spinning and twirling, the laughter pouring from them as they danced. Each move felt liberating, a defiance against the expectations that loomed in his mind. He found himself smiling genuinely as they flowed together, Emily's laughter lifting the weight off his shoulders. But just as they were getting into their groove, the voice from the stage interrupted their moment. It's time to find our next competitor. Who's ready to battle for our grand prize? Are you ready to step up? The crowd erupted into cheers, and a familiar rush of excitement washed over Jake. He stepped forward, raising his hand. The thrill of possibility crackled in the air around him. This was his chance. They could win something that represented freedom and adventure. Jake, are you serious? Emily asked in disbelief, eyes wide. Why not? He shouted back, a grin spreading across his face. This is the moment. As they were ushered onto the stage, standing in front of the crowd, Jake felt a nervous energy swirl in his stomach. The other competitors looked fierce and ready. But he cast a glance at Emily, seeing her infectious energy and unwavering support, and it fueled him. Okay, on the count of 3, let us show them our best. He called out, the tension in his voice blending excitement and apprehension. 1, 2, 3. They launched into a mix of moves his rhythm paired perfectly with Emily's style. The spectators roared with approval, and Jake felt alive in a way he hadn't felt in ages. Each step they took, each spin they executed together felt like a rebellion not just against the fear of judgment, but against the pressures that awaited him back home. Mid-dance, he caught sight of the message still lingering heavy in his mind. When everything faded, what would he really choose? Could he let adventure define him instead of obligation? As they performed, the weight began to lift, empowered by every cheer that erupted from the crowd. But then came the final beat, and Emily unexpectedly slipped, stumbling just slightly. She caught herself, a quick pivot saving her from falling completely, but Jake felt a rush of panic. He reached for her just in time, pulling her back into the rhythm. You okay? He whispered, concern edging into his voice. Yeah. Just got a little lost in the moment, she laughed, catching her breath, her smile unwavering. Suddenly, the booming voice from above announced, and it's down to our final 2 teams. Tell us, which duo will reign victorious? In that split second, Jake faced a choice. Did he continue on this journey of freedom and potential? Or did he turn his back and walk away to the reality awaiting him? The crowd was roaring, but his attention was solely on Emily's exhilarated expression. He pondered the weight of the future that still lurked ahead of him. Jake! She called, her eyes bright with joy. We can do this. He took a deep breath, looking down at Emily and then towards the audience. His heart raced, uncertainty brewing with the excitement of something new. Let us go all in, he declared, feeling the power of the decision surge through him. Just then, his phone vibrated against his thigh again, insistent and urgent. In that moment filled with anticipation, the noise of the crowd faded slightly as he debated whether to check the message. Would it pull him back into the shadows or push him into the light? The fireworks began again in the distance, illuminating the night sky, as Jake stood on the brink of his next step, the weight of the world hanging in the balance. The moment hung there, suspended like the fireworks that lit up the night sky. Jake could feel the rhythm of that last beat pulsing through his veins as his mind raced. Should he indulge the uncertainty creeping in? Or should he dive headfirst into this exhilarating experience beside Emily? The noise of the crowd surged around him, a whirlwind of cheers and excitement, but all he could focus on was the sound of his heartbeat and the quick breaths of Emily beside him. Her face was alight with hope, the spark in her eyes urging him to commit. Was this the push he needed to chase after something beyond fear and obligation? He glanced down, the familiar vibration from his phone tugging at his attention. It buzzed again, and his stomach twisted in knots. What if it was more bad news? But what if it held the key to his future? Jake, focus on me, Emily said suddenly, pulling his gaze back to her. Leave the phone. Just dance with me. The way she said it was like a spell. He felt the tension in his chest begin to melt away. With a determined grin, he slipped the phone into his pocket. He could deal with it later. This wild, electric moment demanded his full attention. Alright, he laughed, adrenaline coursing through him. Let us show them what we've got. They launched back into the dance, the music wrapping them in its warm embrace. Jake and Emily spun and twirled, every flick of their bodies sending sparks into the crowd, igniting them in cheers and applause. He could feel the energy thrumming through him, the exhilarating thrill of collective joy lifting all doubts away. The other competitors faded into the background, their intensity losing ground to the pure excitement they shared. He and Emily were in sync, a harmony forged by the laughter, the music, and the connection they had always held. The world outside this stage dimmed. It was just them. As they reached the climax of their routine, Jake caught a glimpse of the appreciative looks from the audience. It was breathtaking to think that for this moment, they were no longer just two kids trying to navigate their difficult lives. They were stars pulling the light closer to them. But then, in the final flourish, it happened again. Emily miscalculated her landing, her other foot gone slightly off balance. Jake felt his heart lurch. This time, there was no room for hesitation. He caught her with both arms just as she began to falter, anchoring her to him. Gotcha, he said, a grin spreading across his face. Thanks, partner. She shot back, giggling nervously. In that instant, the crowd erupted into cheers once more. They brought the routine to a finish, panting but exhilarated, their bodies still buzzing from the dance. The host approached, eyes wide with admiration. What an impressive save. You're definitely a team to watch. Jake beamed, but his heart raced for another reason. He could still feel the weight of the message, the urgent reminder of responsibilities waiting for him. As the crowd continued to roar, celebrating their performance, he felt a clash within himself. This could be a turning point. Jake, Emily said, looking deep into his eyes. We can do anything, right? Together? He took in a sharp breath. Could they really? Was this just a fleeting moment of fun or something more significant? A moment stretched between them as he looked at her hopeful face. The phone buzzed again, but he didn't notice. His entire world narrowed down to this connection, the laughter, the smiles, and the fiery energy between them, but just as he was about to voice his thoughts, the host interrupted, their face lighting up with excitement. And let us give it up for our new champions. You two have definitely stolen our hearts tonight. Cheers erupted again, but amidst the celebration, Jake's heart sank. Did he now owe it to this moment to confront what else was waiting for him? As the spotlight focused on him and Emily, he caught a glimpse of his phone peeking out, the glow bright in the darkness. He felt an explosion of uncertainty, mixed with hope, and knew that he was standing at yet another crossroads. What did success mean in life, in relationships, and in everything that lay ahead? Would he choose the thrill of the moment or the looming reality calling him back home? The crowd's energy surged with questions in his mind, but more importantly, it was Emily's unwavering presence that made the choice seem less daunting. Let us celebrate our victory, he declared, yet in his heart, another question remained: was this moment enough to overcome the shadows waiting in the sidelines? The fireworks exploded again above them, everything illuminated in brilliant color, but Jake couldn't shake the urgency. Could he take the leap? Would he dare to jump into the unknown? As they bowed to the applause, the phone buzzed one last time, and for an instant, he felt the whisper of something significant pulling at him. In a world filled with possibilities, Jake was learning that some adventures were worth choosing, but could he ever really leave the past behind? The confetti settled around them, a colorful swirl as the music faded to a softer tone. Jake stood there, the adrenaline still thrumming through his veins, caught in the moment, but his mind raced faster than his heart. He didn't just want to celebrate this victory, he needed to tackle what awaited him on the other side of the excitement. Emily's laughter brought him back. Did you see their faces? We really nailed it. Her cheeks glowed with exhilaration, and Jake couldn't help but smile. Her joy was contagious, wrapping around him like a warm blanket. Yeah, we did. It felt amazing, he replied, and for a heartbeat, he almost believed it could last forever. But then the buzz of his phone cut through the joy, the insistent vibration like a sharp reminder of the life he was trying to step away from, if only for a little while. "Do you need to check that?" Emily asked, her eyes sparkling yet serious. The briefest flicker of concern crossed her face, and it twisted his heart. He didn't want to ruin this, but it was there, the storm teetering on the edge of his mind. "No, let us just celebrate," he said, forcing a grin that he hoped met his eyes. But even he could feel the strain of his resolve, the way doubt crept back in like a shadow over their moment. The crowd began to disperse, yet some lingered, eager to chat, to congratulate. Friends, familiar faces of support. Jake couldn't help but feel grateful, but their excitement felt like added pressure. Each cheer they received pulled him from the moment he was sharing with Emily. He knew those cheers were louder than the storms waiting back home. As they moved through the throng, Emily's hand brushed against his. It was a casual touch, yet it sent sparks down his spine, igniting the warmth of something pure and possible. He could feel her gaze on him, searching, probing for thoughts hidden behind his facade. He pushed through, trying to shake the thoughts that gripped him. This was supposed to be a night of fun, of freedom. In a break from the crowd, they found a quieter corner, away from prying eyes. She turned to face him, her expression softening. "Jake, you're quiet. What is going on in that head of yours?" His heart thudded against his chest. There it was, the question he'd been dreading. Could he really share everything weighing down on him? "I don't know," he began, running a hand through his hair, and the words tangled in his throat. "I guess I'm struggling between being here, in this moment, and the reality back home. It feels like a choice I'm not ready to make." Emily stepped closer, her eyes unwavering. "But isn't that what life is? Making choices? Sometimes the hardest ones lead us to the best places." Her words hung in the air, wrapping around him, pulling him into a truth he had been desperately trying to avoid. With her, he felt the weight of his fears start to lift, if only slightly. The pressure of expectation was slowly easing. "I wish it was that simple," he confessed, the heaviness in his chest loosening just a fraction. "What if I choose wrong?" "What if, Jake?" she interrupted, earnestness lighting up her face. "Sometimes, it's about taking the leap. Even if it's scary. Even if you mess up." Her encouragement felt like a breath of fresh air, and he realized he'd been holding his breath for too long. Just then, the unmistakable sound of his phone chiming broke through, more urgent this time. They both looked down. He could feel his pulse quicken as he reached for it, dread rolling over him. Without knowing what he would find, Jake opened the message, taking in the words that sent icy fingers skittering down his spine. "Who is it?" Emily asked, concern etching her features. "It's my dad. He needs to talk about the company's future." The weight of those words felt heavier than ever. Emily raised an eyebrow, her expression shifting to one of understanding. "You should take it. If you need to handle things, I get it. But promise me you'll come back to this moment." The sincerity in her eyes made him want to scream and laugh all at once. Could he hold both the past and this newfound joy? A crossroads lay ahead, and all he could think of was the light in Emily's eyes, urging him toward the future. With one last look at the message, his heart pounding, he considered his next move. "So, what happens now?" he said, feeling the tension settle around him once more. Would the leap take him to a place of heartwarming joy, or would it plunge him back into the shadows he was desperate to escape? The music dimmed, leaving a silence filled with potential. Behind them, the aftermath of celebration pulsed through the air, the cheers, the laughter, the hope. Jake knew he was about to decide what side of the line he would stand on, but was he ready to embrace what lay ahead? Jake took a steadying breath, his heart racing. The weight of his father's message felt like a boulder pressing against his chest. But as he looked at Emily, the soft glow of the fair lights dancing in her eyes, he realized he had a choice. It was time to fight for what he wanted. "Emily," he said, his voice calm yet resolute. "You've given me the push I needed. I can't let my dad's expectations dictate my life anymore. I don't want to go back to the golden cage, I want to build a life that means something." Her smile brightened, illuminating the shadows that clung to his doubts. "That's the spirit." She laughed, the warmth of her joy weaving around him like a protective blanket. "Just remember, it's about taking that leap and seeing where it takes you." He nodded, feeling a surge of courage swell within him. They stood there, surrounded by the laughter of fairgoers and the distant echoes of music, ready to carve a new path together. Before he could lose his resolve, Jake reached for her hand. "Let us embrace this moment. Let us just dive into the thrill of it all." They slipped back into the crowd, laughter bubbling between them as they wove from rides to games, soaking in the joy and connection they shared. With every step, the pressure from home faded like the remnants of a storm. The night felt electric, vibrant with possibilities. They stopped near the Ferris wheel, the towering structure illuminated against the night sky. Emily pulled him toward it, her eyes alight with mischief. "Last one up gets to choose the next ride." With that, they sprinted under the lights. As they climbed into a bright yellow cart, higher and higher they soared. The world below shrank, the fair lights twinkling like stars in a fantastical dream. Jake felt bigger than his worries, he was buoyed by courage, possibility, and love. With Emily beside him, each turn of the wheel promised more adventure. "Look at the view!" Emily exclaimed, throwing her arms wide, her laughter ringing like the sweetest melody. "This is everything." "It really is," he replied, feeling lighter than air. Jake took a deep breath and crossed his fingers. "And I promise to embrace whatever comes next, as long as you're with me." As they reached the pinnacle, they paused, taking in the sparkling scene around them. The fight within him had transformed into pure excitement, a readiness to face whatever lay beyond. He turned to Emily, his heart full, and kissed her, feeling like life itself had ignited. As they descended, Jake's phone buzzed again. He glanced down, knowing he had to confront the message eventually. But this time, it didn't terrify him. He could choose how to respond. The thrill of the moment was too intoxicating to let it steal the joy. He'd face his father, he would tackle the situation head-on. But first, he wanted to savor this victory. Once their feet touched the ground, they dashed back to the dance-off area, the remaining crowd still buzzing. "We won. We should celebrate," Emily exclaimed, her face practically glowing with excitement. Jake grinned. "I couldn't agree more." He took her hand, guiding her to the center of the remaining cheers and music. "Let us do it one last time." Jake shouted to the crowd, and to his surprise, the cheers grew louder in response. With joyful defiance, he pulled Emily close, and together, they danced to the last notes of the evening, twirling in a storm of laughter and possibility. They didn't just win a dance-off, they had claimed their joy, their freedom, and their choice to embrace each moment together. As the final fireworks exploded into the sky, illuminating their shared journey, Jake knew he had made the right decision. He was finally ready to break free from the chains of expectation and embrace life's wild ride side by side with Emily. The fair faded into the background, a memory stamped with color and laughter, but the path ahead glimmered with new dreams and plans. Whatever came next, he was ready. With Emily by his side, there was nothing they couldn't face, and in that moment, surrounded by joy and love, he felt utterly alive. "Now, you need to do something for us." Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on more exclusive stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the magic alive. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this transformative ending you can't hold back now, and please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this remarkable journey. You need to show your support now. This is the moment. Don't wait not even one more second to share.